Good morning, and I hope you had a very Merry Christmas. Today on Spotlight, we continue our long-standing program tradition of having an end-of-the-year conversation with Michigan's governor. From Republican John Engler to Democrat Gretchen Whitmer, for me, there have been quite a few. Last year, we added a new twist by including Lieutenant Governor Garlin Gilchrist II to make it a joint interview. But this year, with the COVID-19 pandemic still very much a health and safety issue, instead of Michigan's two highest-ranking public officials sitting side by side, we'll do it virtually in an exclusive interview, their only end-of-the-year media conversation together, looking back at 2020 and looking ahead to 2021. And a little later on our program, we'll virtually check in with Oakland and Macomb County Democratic Congressman Andy Levin of Michigan's 9th U.S. House District. It's Sunday, December the 27th, just a few days left in 2020, a year that's been one of a kind. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. Governor and Lieutenant Governor, thanks for joining us today on Spotlight. Let me ask you a simple question. Just a few days to go in 2020. How much are the two of you looking forward to getting out of 2020 and getting into 2021? Governor, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to it. I think 2021 is going to be a good year. And I really think that it's a year where every month gets better than the last. In the first month, we'll see more vaccines getting rolled out. We'll see the start of a new administration that is going to follow the science and I think be a great partner to us here in Michigan.
Chuck, I am also excited to get to 2021. I think with all the challenges, we've also gotten a lot of lessons out of 2020. We've learned a lot of things. A lot of truth has been exposed for the first time or for yet another time. And I think we're going to be able to really build upon a strong foundation in 2021, whether it's with our public health and our COVID response, whether it's with our economic recovery. We know what works and how we need to support people. And when we're talking about calls for racial justice and unity, I think we've seen what hadn't worked in a lot of ways in 2020. And I think we're going to do things that will work and bring us all forward in 21.
All right, to the both of you, we've got relief money coming from Washington and also from Lansing, about $465 million coming from the state and billions coming from the feds up in Washington. First of all, what should the average person expect to see, Governor, and is this going to be enough?
Well, it's a good start, and it's certainly not the end of the story or the end of the need, but we know that people are hurting. It's been a hard 2020. Every one of us has struggled through this year in one fashion or another, and we've got to help those who can't put food on the table. That's why I'm glad to see the direct aid, but it certainly is a pittance compared to what some of the real need is. So we've got more work to do. This is welcome assistance now, but we'll be working very closely with the incoming Biden administration to ensure that we've got a longer, more strategic plan on all of these fronts.
The incoming Biden-Harris administration during the campaign made a commitment to not only investing in our public health, but doing so in a way that ensures that equity is part of how we do solutions. That equity is part of how we deliver solutions. So, Senator Harris, now Vice President-elect Harris, was really a champion of closing racial disparities in public health. And I'm looking forward to working with her and the administration to do that. And when it comes to criminal justice reform, the Build Back Better plan for racial equity had some very deep investments that were really incentives for states to reform their justice systems to give more people a chance for success. And Michigan has been a leader on that.
Governor Whitmer, the other day, you really took a shot at the federal government in terms of the delivery of this vaccine. You said we've got plenty, especially here at Pfizer, which is in our own home state. Bring us up to date. Have you guys worked through all that? Are we up to the supply amount that we should be at this point?
Well, it's interesting, Chuck. I mean, when I gave voice to that frustration, it's a frustration that's playing out across the country in a variety of states, from Iowa to Florida to Michigan and many in between. It really got some action out of Washington. We saw General Perna host a press conference the next day to apologize for the lapse in their planning, to commit that we will have more information and we can count on the vaccines getting here. That was music to my ears. Now, what we need as we build this out is consistent and accurate information about what we can anticipate, because what we want to do is be as efficient as possible and get as many people vaccines. These are safe, these are effective. Much of the hope for what the future holds is coming out of Portage, Michigan, where that vaccine is coming. And so I'm hopeful that the remaining days of the Trump administration, they will get that together and we will have that, and confident that in the initial days of the Biden administration, we will see a lot more national strategy on this front.
We're hearing talk about a new strain. Have you had talks with Dr. Khaldun about this already? And are there any preparations underway as a result of what may be coming out of Europe?
So this being a novel virus, obviously we've been learning a lot about it over the last 10 months. It's not unexpected that it would mutate at some point. The mutations that we are seeing in the UK mean that it is even more easy to catch. It doesn't appear to have a higher fatality rate. However, we're learning and it's changing. And that's why we've got to be nimble. We have to be really smart and we have to keep following the science, which is what we've done here in Michigan.
All right, we need to take a real quick break. We'll hurry right back. Don't go away. And welcome back to Spotlight. Governor, I can't tell you how many of those Zoom interviews I've seen you do and press conferences all across the country. And I'm always struck by the one thing I see in the background oftentimes, and that's that license tag that says RESPECT, respect, of course, which Aretha Franklin made famous in her song. But it occurred to me, and I want to just get your reaction and the Lieutenant Governor, that those 7 words may have, or 7 letters, may have a lot to do with what has been happening this year. Respect or lack of respect on so many different levels. Everything from politics to business to science. And why is it back there? Are you trying to send a subliminal message?
Well, actually, a constituent, a fellow Michigander, sent me that. And I thought it was really kind and I wanted to display it. And often the things behind me are things that people have sent. This 2020, I think, has been incredibly challenging. And had we as a nation rallied against our common enemy, this virus, we really might be in a stronger position. We may have saved a lot of lives and certainly mitigated the economic impact that it's had on our state and our nation. It is my fervent hope that as we go into 2021, that the Biden-Harris administration, who has already done a lot of outreach, will continue to be able to build bridges, because we really have to find common ground. There's no question we're deeply divided. We saw that in this election. We've seen it throughout this public health crisis. Here in Michigan, that's the case as well. And I know I and the Lieutenant Governor, we will continue to do that outreach to build coalitions and seek to find common ground, because at the end of the day, we got to recognize we're Michiganders first. And we want to make this a state where everyone's got real opportunity to get ahead.
Lieutenant Governor, whether it's healthcare or it's race relations, have people of color throughout this country and throughout this state received the respect that you believe they should be getting from many of its leaders?
Well, I think in this, generational call for equity and for justice, at the core of that is a call for respect, a respect for, our collective humanity, and recognizing that we are connected through that humanity. And so I think that we have an opportunity going forward in 2021 to continue to build and heal where respect hasn't always been present. And so I think some of the lessons that I referred to earlier that we've learned in 2020, we've seen what it looks like when respect is not present. And when therefore people have chosen to disrespect, disregard, or not show care for others, for their life situations, for their public health, or for their safety. But I think as we move forward into this new year, as we look for more opportunities to respect one another, the governor and I certainly want to work with everyone in Michigan to demonstrate that we are more powerful when we are more respectful.
Governor, I want to come back to you on this word respect. Do you believe that Majority Leader Shirkey and Speaker Chatfield have respected you in your position this year?
You know what, Chuck, I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to stay focused on doing what I need to do. And you know what, I will continue to do the outreach and to be inclusive of the legislature. I think that they're an important part of our system of government. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with the governor. And I've had to make some tough decisions. None of it has been easy. None of it has been simple or obvious. We've had to navigate some tough things and make hard choices. But at the end of the day, I think that people will look back on these moments and recognize that the states that followed the science and didn't get distracted by bullying or threats or politics saved more lives, and we're in a stronger position for an economic recovery. And that's what we have seen in our experience with COVID, and that's what we're gearing up for 2021.
My last question along this line, do you believe you have respected them, or do you respect them in their position?
You know what, I do. I have shown a great deal of respect. We've been very inclusive. We've held quadrant meetings every other week since I took my oath of office. That's the first time that's happened since John Engler was governor. We've included them in our modeling calls. So while some of the rhetoric would make you think that they haven't been included, they certainly have. And whether or not they show up and want to partner, I can't control, but I will continue to extend invitations.
Even in the midst of all this partisanship, you guys got through the budget this year, and I think that took a lot of us by surprise that it went with sort of the ease that it did. Lieutenant Governor, you guys have worked together as a team by virtue of the fact that you're on this interview together, similar to what we did around this time last year. That emphasizes the fact that your team. What have you all learned from each other this year, just watching each other and being in the hot seat? I'll start with you, Lieutenant Governor.
Well, to brag on Governor Whitmer, one of the things that I have certainly been able to really watch and admire from her is the courage to be decisive. You know, what we've seen in this pandemic is that the people and the leaders in the states that made the choice to act strongly and act quickly, that is following the science. That is what happened and what led us to be able to have a response that saved more people's lives. And especially in the situation we were in very early in this year, when this pandemic was killing people so quickly, when I lost dozens of people in my own life, we needed to act strongly and swiftly. And Governor Whitmer did that and was willing to do so in a way where other leaders were not as courageous and were not willing to step up and be so decisive. And I think that's what leadership is.
Governor, what have you learned from your lieutenant governor this year that perhaps you didn't know when you first signed him up to be your lieutenant governor?
Well, I think we have gotten to know each other really well in 2020. We've spent a lot of time together. I've been so grateful for his vision and partnership. But in this year, I think that has changed so much. We've worked so closely together, and I consider him family now because I trust him. I know that he's got vision, and I know where his heart is, and I couldn't ask for a better partner through the tough times, and I look forward to when we can govern it in the good times.
All right, we need to take one more quick break. We'll come back with just two final questions and keep you on schedule. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Governor, certainly you have become a household name, not just in Michigan, but all across the country. You're on more TV talk shows than any other, perhaps, governor across this country. What are you proudest of as you reflect back on 2020, which has been one humdinger of a year?
Humdinger, that's a good word for it, Chuck. As we were doing these end of the year interviews, someone kind of went through everything that happened this year, and it's kind of jaw dropping when you think about it. I'll process it at some point, but I don't have time to do it now. You know, I am proud of the team that we have assembled. I am so grateful that I've got, someone like the Lieutenant Governor to my right, and someone like Dr. Janae Khaldun on the other side of me as we navigate and make some of the toughest decisions. I think that Michigan is known as a leader. We're a leader in the space of our COVID response. We were a leader in terms of our economic resurgence after the spring that was so hard. It's my goal to make sure that we are that way as we go into 2021. But I can never not pause and recognize that we've lost thousands of Michiganders to this virus, including our mutual and dear friend, Benny Napoleon, as recently as last week. It's been hard. It's been crushing at times. And yet, as Benny would text me throughout the last 10 months, we got to stay focused on doing the next right thing, and saving people's lives is paramount in this moment, and we're going to continue to do that.
Lieutenant Governor, has the Biden administration delivered on the diversity that they said they were going to have in their cabinet along the campaign trail?
You know, I think this administration set a goal to have a cabinet and leadership team that was reflective of the people of the United States. And similar to how Governor Whitmer and I set a goal to establish our team to be reflective of the diversity of the state of Michigan, I think this administration is off to a great start. And this is just the beginning, I think, of how they're going to empower people from all walks of life to serve our nation's broader interests. And so this is exactly starting at the top of the ticket with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and then going all the way down. So I'm excited to partner with this leadership team. And just like the diverse leadership team in Michigan, I think they're going to deliver for the people of our country.
Governor Whitmer, former Governor Granholm, will she make a great energy secretary?
Hey, I think Michigan's going to have a lot of great allies in the Biden administration, starting with the president-elect himself, extending to the vice president-elect, our first female vice president. I mean, it's so exciting. And to see former Governor Granholm to be a part of this administration, fellow Midwesterner Pete Buttigieg in transportation. You know, I texted him and I said, "You're the nation's fix the damn roads guy, and I'm excited to work with you." And so I think that we are going to have a lot of great allies in this administration. It's going to be good for Michigan.
Governor, this time last year when the three of us were sitting around the mansion, you welcomed a new puppy, Kevin, into the Whitmer-Mallory clan there. Since then, you've added Doug. Any new plans, a third one coming up sometime soon?
I was telling my husband I think we should, but I pushed him enough. We're good. Kevin and Doug have been a joy. And frankly, in the midst of everything that's happened, it's nice to have a furry best friend who loves you no matter what.
All right. And Lieutenant Governor, you got twins. You welcome baby Ruby into the world. Anything you want to tell us?
Oh, I have no more news to break on that front. Baby Ruby
Ellen said you better not, right?
no, none of that. But baby Ruby just turned 18 months. And as we've all had to stay home and stay safe, it's been a time for some people to be able to get closer to family, and being able to spend so much time with my baby girl and my twins and my wife has really been the brightest silver lining to this challenging year. And so I'm thankful and blessed for that. And I hope that everyone is able to have time safely with their families coming into this holiday season so that we can move into 2021 stronger.
All right. Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Lieutenant Governor Garlin Gilchrist II, happy holidays to all of you. Happy New Year. Stay safe, and we'll check in with you in 2021 because you've got a State of the State address coming up in just a couple weeks or so here.
That's right. Thanks, Chuck. You too.
All right. Stay safe. Good talking to both of you. And when Spotlight returns, we'll check in with Congressman Andy Levin about that money coming from Washington. Stay with us. Bring us up to date. We know that stimulus money from Washington, after all the wrangling back and forth, all the partisanship, a bipartisan bill was reached. And when should people expect to see some money?
Well, people may see checks as early as this week. That's the checks for every family that qualifies. Folks who make under $75,000 a year or under $150,000 for a couple will get $600 for each adult and for each child. We couldn't get everything we wanted in there. Of course, it's a lower amount of money than last time, and
Sure.
we couldn't get adult dependents in there. But you know, a couple with two kids would get $2,400, and they could get it as early as this coming week.
Congressman, there's an awful lot in this bill, 5,000 some odd pages. So trying to sift through it will obviously take people time. But you've got something in there. You have HR 7933. What exactly is that in terms of the Safety and Modernization Act? What will that do, and what does that mean to the people in your district?
Yeah, Chuck. Well, you know, I'm really delighted that we got this across the finish line. It's a bipartisan bill that I wrote. Representative Stefanik, a Republican from New York, joined me. she's always big on kids nutrition. So I ran to her, to say, let's do this together. This helps, women, infants, and children, the WIC program.
Right.
Basically, women who are pregnant or they've got little, babies, they're nursing, or they just have an infant in the house, nutrition for them. And here's the thing, in the pandemic, you or I might be able to get curbside or even delivery of groceries. WIC recipients can't. Who needs it more than a mother at home alone with a young infant? So this is going to modernize the WIC program, quickly set up a process to allow them to get groceries, the nutrition they and their babies need, in an efficient kind of 21st century way here in the middle of a pandemic.
Final question. President Trump still has not conceded that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to be coming in and being in the White House in January. How concerned are you by some of this gossip and reporting that we're hearing that he may not go away quietly, and when all of the electors convene there and in Congress, that there may be some kind of havoc?
Chuck, at this point, it's about how well brought up you are. I mean, your mama would never let you, I'm just guessing here, be so ungracious and such a sore loser. My mama definitely wouldn't have allowed me. And whatever he does, it's not going to have any impact. Somebody conceding an election has no legal or practical impact except his place in history. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won the election. They won it not by a real super close margin. And the Electoral College has decided it. And we will go through the formality on January 6th of accepting those results. And he will be the next president of the United States, and he'll be inaugurated on January 20th.
Congressman Andy Levin, thank you for joining us today on Spotlight. Happy holidays, Happy New Year to you and your family. Give our best to your dad, Sandy Levin, and your uncle, Carl Levin, and the entire family. Stay safe.
Thanks, Chuck. You too. It's great to see you. Be well.
Good seeing you as well. Special thanks to all of my guests. We'll be back next year with more newsmakers in the Spotlight. Have a happy and safe New Year.